All right, shalom, 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 shalom. Thank you for tuning in with One Nation Israelite School. I guess it's a Wednesday night class. I didn't title this class, but you can kind of see where I'm going with the scriptures. Talking about kind of touching on the grounds of departing from the brotherhood. I did a statement before that I never continued building on, which you can find. It was called Unrighteousness Caused You to Fall Out, Part 1. If I'm not mistaken, this class is about 2-3 years old by now. Or I don't remember how old it is. I know it was when we around the time we first moved in here. So with that, I want to get right into this class, which I didn't title, but I'm going to be, you'll kind of get the drift of where I'm going if you follow along in the scriptures. So with that, let's just go ahead and get into it. Let's just go ahead and get into it. Hold on. Hold on. As you walk in this truth, so it's 2 years ago. Okay. Shalom, shalom. So let's go into this class. I want to try to make it brief as possible. It's already 9:30, so this truth is a revolving door, and in this truth, you have your ups, and you're gonna have many downs. But within those ups and downs, you as yourself must do what's necessary for your salvation. And in the midst of seeking your salvation, you're also fighting and endeavoring to keep the unity with your brethren and your sisters, hoping that they may have a chance to make it and seek the salvation. And then every now and then, you're going to have those that you're going to fight for, and they're going to let you down. There'll be those who you will give a love to, and when it's all said and done, you won't get that same love back. Then in those times, you better have the strength to keep going, because if not, you'll fall out. Right. You give up, you cash in on the wall. Thus said the Lord, when thou comest to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptations and constantly endure. Set your mind right. Because you're going to have upsets. You're going to have letdowns. Right. You're going to have people that you put a certain amount of love and trust into. But you better have more love for the Most High, because if those people so happen to sell you short, or they give up on the wall, or they depart from you, you got to have the strength to pick up and keep going. Let's go to 2 Timothy chapter 4, and let's start at verse 6. I oftentimes ask, because I've seen it many times. How many times have I given a love to people, a love that I don't receive back? How many times have people that I've never left stranded, never abandoned? How many times have they walked out on me, and when they got so beat down and they sinned and so much judgment coming upon them, they run back and I open doors.
Right.
And then when what do they do again? They walk out on you again. So what if you didn't gird up yourself and wasn't prepared for it? You be the next one out the door. You cashing your chips.
Right.
Let's get it. Let's go. Let's do it, man. Let's go to 2 Timothy 4 and 6.
2 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 6. 2 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 6. For I am now ready to be offered. For I am now ready to be offended.
Offered.
Okay. For I am now ready to be offered, and the time of my departure is at hand.
So for I am now ready to be offered, when my time of departure is at hand. Paul knew that he was going to die. But sometimes in this walk, you get to the point where you're like, I'm ready to be offered up. I'm ready to be offered up. My time of departure is at hand. But we're going to keep it in Paul's context now. Paul knows that he's getting ready to leave. He's getting ready to die. Come on.
I have fought a good fight. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. Henceforth, there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, shall give me at that day. And not to me only, but unto all them also that love his appearing.
Right. So Paul here is let's just put it. Paul fought all the way to the end. No matter what temptations, what type of persecutions or afflictions came upon him, he fought to the end. He kept the faith, and he fought a good fight till the day of his departure was at hand. Endeavoring to keep the unity.
All right.
So now let's look at it like this. You do all that you can do to make the kingdom. You do all you can do to make the kingdom with that also trying to help your brothers and sisters endure and fighting to keep the unity, because brotherhood and love for each other is one of the most important commandments behind fearing the Most High God. So you fighting and endeavoring to keep the unity. You fighting and endeavoring to put up a good fight until the day that you get called home. Till you get called from this wicked kingdom.
Right.
And in the midst of you fighting for the kingdom, you also got to fight that your brothers endeavor that you keep the unity. Because what? Once again, keeping the unity, brotherhood, and love for each other is one of the most important commandments behind fearing the Most High God.
Right.
Let's get that. Let's go to Matthew 22 and 36. Yeah.
Matthew chapter 22 and verse 36. Master, which is the great commandment in the law? Christ said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind.
Right. So you got one that comes to Christ. And he asks, what is the greatest commandment of them all? So he want to know what is the greatest commandments of them all? The first thing Christ tells him is what?
Love the Most High God with all thy heart and with all thy soul.
It says, love the Most High God with all thy heart, with all thy soul.
With all thy mind.
Go ahead.
This is the first and great commandment.
So you love God and keep his commandments with all diligence and sincerity. And what else? Read on.
And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. So this man wants to know what is the greatest commandments of them all. Christ tells him, first off, love the Most High God and keep his commandments with all diligence and sincerity. And second, you love your brother and your sister as you love yourself. How you gonna, and you're gonna fight? So that means fighting and endeavoring to keep the unity. That's true love. I often ask, what would make you leave me? I often ask that question. What would make you leave me? I name off the bat all the things I've seen, all the things we've been through, and I tell you, right, I would never leave you. Right. So what would make you leave me? I ask that. Why? Because I want to ensure that the love that I give, I can receive it back. All right. I want to ensure that whatever it is, whatsoever it is that you tell me would make you leave me, that it won't have an effect. It will never be able to come to be an effect of us, so we can all maintain as one in unity, as the scripts say. There's a love that you can give to a person that sometimes you will never get back. There's sometimes you can be endeavoring to keep the unity in a place where unity doesn't want to be kept. But the scriptures say, love thy brethren as you love thyself. And I constantly ask, what will make you leave me? So I can know exactly what thing it is. Mm-hmm. Because I know for me, I tell you, there's nothing that would make me betray you. Right. There's nothing that would make me leave you. So for me to know what would make you leave me, if the answer was nothing, then you're one nation. If the answer was this, then what would I do? Fight to make sure that this, and this never occurs between us. That's endeavoring, as the scripts say. When schisms come up, when issues come, you bring it to the body. You bring it to the people. That y'all may work those kinks out. Never will it be an issue that I'm going to leave you guys behind and y'all don't know, or you didn't even have a chance to fight to make it right. Because then there's a shame on me. Because what comes on is there's a love there that was never there. Right. That's true. Let's get the script endeavoring. Ephesians 4 real quick. Ephesians 4:1.
Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 1. Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 1. Therefore, the prisoner of the Lord beseech you that ye walk worthy of the vocation wherewith ye are called.
So Paul says, I therefore, the prisoner of the Lord, beseech you that ye walk worthy of the vocation wherewith ye are called. Every last one of us have a role that we have been called to play. And you better walk worthy of it. Bring honor to the position that you were called in to play. Come on.
With all lowliness.
When it says with all lowliness, meaning with all humbleness, not self-importance, not puffed up about one's attributes or deeds. You're going to do that position with humbleness. Come on.
And meekness.
With meekness, meaning with patience and long suffering. With patience and long suffering. I don't get angry and throw the towel in on brothers. Because I'm with patience. Everybody's not on the same level. Everybody hasn't quite found their gift or the role that they are supposed to play. So I have patience, and you know what? Long suffering. We travail together. Go ahead.
With long suffering, forbearing one another in love.
Forbearing one another in love. Forbearing one another in love. Read on.
Endeavoring to keep the unity of the spirit and the bond of peace.
It says fighting Endeavoring, meaning fighting. Endeavoring means to try, to fight. It says we are fighting to keep the unity of the spirit of peace. And you'll give all to ensure that the unity and that the peace be sealed. But be careful in that. Here's where it gets dangerous. You're fighting and you're endeavoring to make sure that we can keep the spirit of peace, to make sure that the body stays in unity, to make sure that every brother and every sister makes it to the end. And in that, you grow a certain love. If you put anybody that's supposed to be walking in a certain spirit together, there'll be a love that'll grow for that person.
Yeah, that's true.
If it's sincere, there's a love that will grow. And you're going to try your best to keep that thing there. But be careful in that. Why? Because some love you get, some love you give, a lot of the times, more times than not, you won't get it back. And a lot of times, you will give love. Be careful when you endeavoring to keep the unity and you growing love for brothers and sisters in the building and in this truth. Be careful, because more times than not, the love that you give, you will not get it back. And people will sell you short, no matter how close relations are. People will sell you short. You put a lot of love into people, you best to be careful when doing it. Because as I say, sometimes you will not get that love, that same love back. More times than not, you are not going to get that same love back. As much as you want these people to be here, to be with you, to stand by you, because you would never leave them, doesn't mean that they will never leave you. And those situations, they hurt a little bit more.
Yeah.
Those situations hurt a little bit more. But be careful, because if you put too much in that one basket and it walks off, you might just walk out behind them. You might just throw in the towel on your own fight for salvation towards the kingdom. Because you did what? Put a lot of trust in that, and you put a lot of trust in that person. Maybe a little bit too much trust. You trusted them with your salvation. You got to the point where you actually got to the point where when you never noticed that when you asked what would make you leave me, they never answered. You overlooked it. You may have forgot that people walked out the door on you before. They left before. You were just filled with the love that you opened the door back up when they came back.
All right.
And you'll forget that, you know what? Maybe everybody's not fighting for the unity the same way that you are. Maybe one nation ain't as important to them as it is to you or whoever else. But you know what'll happen? You'll say, to hell with it. I'm tired of people walking out on me. I'm tired of it. I had so much love and so much trust and so much faith this time in this person, and you give up your. That's why give me that. That's why the scriptures tell. That's why I'm telling you, be careful. Jeremiah 17:5.
Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 5.
What would make me walk out on you? What would make me leave you? There's nothing that'll make me leave you.
Right.
If it ain't a treacherous wound, if it ain't sin that can't be corrected,
right,
nothing would make me walk on you. So what would make you leave me? Is it because everybody's not moving at the pace you want them to move? Where is the sin that's causing you to say, I no longer want to be here? That's a selfish spirit. The humbleness in that spirit has disappeared. Because then we all should ask, well, before we go to, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, you're not doing that, we have to ask ourselves, what have I done lately?
All right.
Let's go, man. Jeremiah 17:5.
Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 5. Thus saith the Lord, cursed be the man that trusteth in man.
Cursed be the man who put his trust in man. Why? Because people will sell you short. People will abandon you.
Right.
The same people that nurtured you in the truth, you will abandon them.
Yeah.
You will love people far more and have way more of a loyalty to people than some will have to you. And when you put that much trust into somebody, if you don't have that gertation, remember I used to always tell people, don't get attached to people that you see come in the building. Yeah. I used to always say that. Now it's easier said than done, especially after, a period of time. It's hard not to get attached, but you can't get attached to the point where your soul's attached. Because cursed be the man who put his trust in man. Why? Because that person may decide, I no longer want to be here. I don't love the brotherhood here. I don't love the sisterhood here. Things are just not going the way I want it to go. It's not as fun. We don't got as many people. And they'll leave. And you know what'll happen? Read on.
And make his flesh his own, and whose heart departed from the Lord.
And his heart departed from the Lord. What'll happen? You'll put your trust in man, and man will sell you short. Man will abandon you. And eventually, because your trust and your strength is in him or her, you leave behind them. You may not literally follow behind them, but you find yourself out the building because they're no longer in the building. You find yourself back in the world because they're back in the world. Be careful who you put your trust in, who you put your love into, because people will sell you short. As I've said, people will abandon you. How many times have I gave love and people walked out? And when you want to come back, I say, open the doors.
All right.
And we wash it away like it never happened.
True.
And I give that same love. People have walked out on me that I have never walked out on, never left stranded.
All right.
And I'm like, where you at, Peter? Where you at? You said you was down for the ride. I told you before the crow croaked, you would deny me. Now where you at, Peter? Peter over there saying, I don't know that nigga. I don't know him. The same thing when I call it in the building, when I tell y'all, keep your eyes open. Somebody's finna fall out. Somebody's finna lead a ship. And everybody looking like, who, me? Who is it? Who? Now you're like, I don't want to be here no more. Where you at, Peter? All right. Let's go to 2 Timothy again. Let's go back. I never turn on my man. I gotta just give it to y'all straight. Real. I got to take it to the streets for a second. You know what I'm saying? Never turn on my niggas about nothing. Nothing. I'm gonna abandon my niggas for shit.
No argument. The next day, I like shit ain't happening.
It is what it is, man. 2 Timothy chapter 4, and let's pick back up at 9.
2 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 9. Do thy diligence to come shortly unto me.
Do thy diligence to come shortly unto me. Remember I said, woe to them who put their trust in man. Why? Because man may leave you dry. May leave you. What happened with Paul? Read. Let's see what happened with Paul. Verse 10.
For Demas hath forsaken me.
For Demas did what?
Hath forsaken me.
You know what forsaken means? It means abandoned. Left him. Paul said, for Demas hath forsaken me. Demas hath left me. Demas hath abandoned me. Come on.
Having loved this present world.
Having loved this present world. Now, people leave us loving this present world. It may not be the worldly world, but damn, how many times have I done class said keep communication?
Right.
How many times I said, hey, regardless of what's going on, this over here, if you one nation, you should be at the Sabbath.
Right.
How you loving the present world? I ain't going to One Nation Sabbath. I'm going back over here. Why? Because my family's over here. It's to the point where we even talking about, I can't even decide where we're going to keep one of the biggest high holy days of the year. We in group chats, where you at? Whatever the case may be. They forsaken me for the present world. It's not to bash anybody. I got love for every person that's in this building or that was in One Nation, even if you so happen that you just want to leave now. But we're going to say, God damn, where you at, Peter? Where you at? Never turn on mine for nothing. Leave out stranded for nothing. When you leave and it's unclear why you leaving or what you left behind, I just say, man, it's all good. Keep your heads up and pick the ball up and let's dribble it back down to the other side of the court. Well, we're going to have to play what? 4-on-5 now. Demas abandoned Paul. He left Paul, loving this present world. Finish that out.
And is departed unto Thessalonica, Crescens to Galata, and Titus unto Dalmatia.
Don't worry about it. Let's go. Let's move on. So, Demas have abandoned Paul, loving this present world. And a lot of them, they'll leave and they say they're not going back to the world. They're still in the truth. They'll deceive themselves. They'll tell themselves they're still in the truth.
Right.
But I'm gonna just keep it 1,000 with you. With me, if you leave One Nation, you already left the truth. You going back to the world. And I'm just gonna tell it to you real. If you leave One Nation, you already left the truth. You leaving the truth. And I'm gonna explain because I don't want people saying that I'm saying we the only ones who got the truth. That's not what I'm saying. But just check the record. Go check the record. Everybody that has left One Nation, what has happened to them?
Everything starts falling apart.
Everything falls apart. And sometimes let's just get back to the nitty-gritty. When everybody who has left One Nation has did one thing, they all got one thing in common. They went back to the world. They went back to the world. So I'm not saying that if you leave One Nation or you not with One Nation, you're not in the truth. But what I'm saying is, if you check the record, everybody that has left One Nation has did what? Went back to the world. Making it obviously clear that when you leave here, you already left the truth. So now, they left and go back to the present, loving this present world. You've chosen the present things and left those who nurtured you. And as Paul had to continue without Demas, so will I without whomever. Because it shows me you never had a love for me or the love for one nation that one nation seeketh to build. And it also shows that you never believed. Let's go to John. St. John chapter 6. So y'all keep the peoples in prayers or whatever the case may be. But it is what it is. St. John chapter 6. And let's get at 61.
St. John chapter 6 and verse 61. When Christ knew in himself that his disciples murmured at it, he said unto them, doth this thing offend you? What, and if ye shall see the Son of Man ascend up where he was before? And it's the spirit that quickeneth, the flesh profiteth nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life.
The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. The words that we've spoken to all of you who've come into One Nation, they don't profit your flesh. They quickeneth your spirit. They are spirit and they are life. Why? Because we give you thus said the Lord.
Right.
The words that we speak unto you, they are life. Well, let's see what happened. Read on.
But there are some of you that believe not.
There what?
There are some of you that believe not.
When they leave, it shows that they didn't believe. Maybe they believe in Christ, but they didn't believe in the brotherhood. They didn't believe in the love that we trying to build at One Nation. Thus said the Lord. They don't believe that the words we speak in our life, that they live, that there's a cause and effect behind these things. Read it again.
But there are some of you that believe not.
Come on.
For Christ knew from the beginning who they were that believe not.
Go ahead.
And who should betray him.
And who should betray him. It's not a coincidence that I tell you someone's going to leave before it happens. It's not a coincidence that I start giving you warning signs about things that I'm seeing in the spirit, that I'm catching up, that I'm catching on to months and weeks before it come to play. Christ knew who believed it and who believed not from the beginning and who should betray him. Scriptures say he keepeth no secret from the prophets. He revealeth it all. Some reason why I tell y'all these things. Y'all think I just be talking in the class? You think I just be talking when I send little warning shots towards you? I see who believe. I know when you're in the midst of sin. I know all of that. I can see it. Your spirit tells it all. Read on. But what's going to happen?
And he said, therefore said I unto you, that no man can come unto me except to be given unto him of my Father. From that time, many of his disciples went back and walked no more with him.
So from that point on, many of the disciples left and never followed Christ again. They abandoned Christ. They left him. They left him. They left him. As many times as I've opened these doors, I've given my heart to people. I've given my love. Did endeavor to keep the unity together through the hard times, through times when I was to the point where I was telling y'all I was thinking about shutting down One Nation and doing my own thing.
Right.
And what I do, shake that spirit and endeavor.
Right.
I shook that spirit and endeavor. Why? The better question is, why don't you have that same love? Why don't you have that same love for the body that I had when I wanted to leave? Imagine if Christ said, you know what, I throw in the towel. Y'all niggas ain't getting it. I'm done. You know what happens? I'll give that love. I'll find a way to endeavor even when I'm ready to give up.
All right.
Even when things happen that I don't like.
Right.
But then when it's on your foot, you'll leave. As did many of the disciples that was following after Christ. They left him. Good thing Christ didn't have his trust in man. Why? Because what did Christ say? Let's see how Christ took it.
Then said Christ unto the 12, will ye also go away?
Will ye also go? Will ye also go? Will ye also go? That's what Christ asked. That's what I have to ask next. Who else gonna leave? Who else? Who else don't have the same love that I got for them?
All right.
Who else wants to go? Many departed from the brotherhood. Likewise today. When Christ said what he said, many departed from the brotherhood. When I come to you live, many will depart from the brotherhood. So good luck. Christ was like, all right, who else want to go? So now I'm saying, sayonara. If that's what it comes down to, good luck. Ecclesiastes 4:10.
Ecclesiastes chapter 4 and verse 10. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow.
So we know the scriptures say two is better than one. You are in the safety right now. You are in the safety. Why? Because you have brothers and sisters amongst you that will lift you up if you decide, if you so happen to fall. But when you decide you want to leave, finish that.
But woe to him that is alone when he falleth, for he have not another to help him up.
Scripture say straight up, woe to you who is alone. Woe to you who decides you're going to leave and then have not one to lift you up. Woe be unto you. Destruction, in other words. Destruction is coming. Why? Because imagine if Christ got pissed off with the disciples because they wasn't working at the pace he wanted them to work. And he decided it's a waste of time, I'm leaving. Imagine if Christ did that. Script tells us to fight for the unity. St. John chapter 13, verse 34. I'm almost out of here now.
13 and 34.
Yeah.
St. John chapter 13 and verse 34. A new commandment I give unto you, that ye love one another, as I have loved you, that ye also love one another.
Go ahead.
But this shall all men know that ye are my disciples. By this shall all men know that ye are my disciples. If ye have love one to another.
By this they shall know that you are one of the disciples, that if ye love one another. When people see, when they see us, they see a family. They see people that get mad at each other, laugh with each other, hold each other's head when tears are falling, whatever the case may be. They see it all. And you would destroy that for what? You would leave for what? Not because there's sin in the building, but because you got to take a real strong look at yourself and see. Damn. Maybe it's just something wrong with the way I'm looking at things. Or is there sin somewhere in the midst of this? I can't pull it there, so I must look back where? Because like I told you, things manifest through the spirit. And because I don't necessarily call you out on certain things, don't think I don't see it. The scriptures say that by this you know that ye are my disciples if you love one another. Christ said, love each other as I have loved you. Christ didn't depart on us. As bad as he probably wanted to, he stayed until his time of departure. Paul fought to his time of departure. I wanted to leave you at a point in time. And you know what? I found a way to do what? Endeavor to keep this unity. Why? Because I said what? I would never leave you. What would make you leave me? What would make you leave us? And I say us, I'm talking about those who are fully down and ain't, they stuck, they've cemented themselves in this place. The scripture says, give me Hebrews 13:1.
Hebrews chapter 13 and verse 1. Hebrews chapter 13 and verse 1. Let brotherly love continue.
What?
Let brotherly love continue.
Let brotherly love continue. Let the brotherhood continue. 1 Peter 2:17 tell you, love the brotherhood. Listen, this class here tonight was basically to tell everybody, if you still down, girt yourselves up, buckle up. I never promised y'all anything I never promised y'all that you wouldn't have brothers and sisters amongst us that would become near and dear to you that wouldn't walk out the door on you.
Right.
I never promised that.
All right.
And if it shall so happen to happen, if it shall so happen to happen, well, one of the brothers or the sisters decide they want to leave, you better be able to pick it up and keep going. My thing is, love the brotherhood. And when I said that I love my family at One Nation, I meant that.
Right.
I wouldn't walk out on y'all or betray y'all for nothing. I wouldn't leave y'all stranded. I wouldn't abandon y'all. There's nothing you can do except for cause me a treacherous wound to make me leave you.
Right.
So I pray that I can get that same love back, and that everybody in One Nation could love each other the same way. For me, there is no other option. There is nowhere else to go. Here is where it is.
Home.
This is home. I say shalom.
Shalom.